We're now going to talk about how to add and subtract rational expressions. There are two main ways to do this. One is we can get a common denominator, the lowest common denominator, and you've done that before. The other one is what I call the picnic table method. Your book calls this the basic definition. And I want to show you where this comes from because this is actually really interesting. It's a nice shortcut. So if you have two fractions, a over b plus c over d, if you want to add those two things, you need a common denominator. Well, your common denominator, we don't really know what b and d are. I think there's a bus driving by, I'm sorry. We don't really know what b and d are, so our common denominator is just going to be b times d. Okay? Now, in order to get b times d, this fraction, we have to multiply top and bottom by d. And this other fraction, we would need to multiply top and bottom by b. So now we have our common denominator, bd, and our numerator is ad plus bc. Okay? Now, I want to show you another way to get that. So, a over b plus c over d. If we want to combine that into one fraction, we're going to take a times d plus, since this is a plus sign, b times c, and in your denominator, b times d. And it's a super fast way to add two fractions. I want to show you that this actually works for just numbers. If you are adding 1/2 plus 1/3, here is exactly how you do it. You multiply 1 times 3 plus, you multiply 2 times 1 over, your denominator is 2 times 3, 6. So it is 5/6. And I know some of you might be very angry with your elementary school teachers right now, like, why didn't they tell us this earlier? It's so much easier than finding common denominators. And I agree. There is a disadvantage to this, and let me show you the disadvantage. 2/3 plus 1/9. Okay, you can use the picnic table method. I call it a picnic table method because it looks like an upside-down picnic table to me, but I don't know. If you don't like that, don't worry. That's what I'm going to call it. Anyway, 2 times 9 is 18 plus 1 times 3 is 3 over 9 times 3 is 27. So our answer is 21/27. Now, both of those are divisible by 3, so we can reduce this to 7/9. Okay? The disadvantage here is if you were doing this problem with common denominators, what's the lowest common denominator between 3 and 9? Well, it's 9. You wouldn't pick 27 to be your denominator. But it's still okay to use 27 as your denominator. You just have to reduce. So the disadvantage to the picnic table method is it doesn't give you your least common denominator. It just gives you a common denominator, which if you're okay with reducing, fine, no problem. If you don't want to reduce, then it's not the best method. So some of your problems in your book will say simplify using the basic definition. That's the picnic table method, or the upside-down picnic table. So we want to simplify this. So we are going to do x times x plus 2 minus, because this is a subtraction problem, 1 times 2x minus 1 over, and you're going to multiply your two denominators, 2x minus 1, x plus 2. Okay? Now at this point you can leave your denominator alone. Do not FOIL that out. We want it in factored form. It's easier to look at that way. So the denominator is going to stay, but the numerator, we need to clean this up. So we're going to distribute this -1, and then we'll combine our like terms. So we get x squared plus 2x minus 2x plus 1. And when we combine our like terms, notice in the numerator 2x and -2x are going to cancel. So we end up with x squared plus 1 over 2x minus 1, x plus 2. Now you should also always take a look at your numerator once you're all done distributing and combining like terms. You may be able to factor this a little bit further and cancel some stuff. So sometimes that does happen. In this case it doesn't. X squared plus 1 can't be factored any further. So this is your answer. Okay, in number 7, Picnic table method doesn't work if there's like 3 of them, doesn't work so well. So we're just going to get common denominators. Before we get common denominators, we want to factor what we can. So x squared minus 4 factors into x plus 2, x minus 2. I'm going to get rid of that. Okay. So we need to decide what is our denominator going to be. What's our common denominator? This is where you look at all of your denominators. You take one of everything, but you don't need any repeats. So we need an x in our denominator. We need an x plus 2. We need an x minus 2. And then over here is an x plus 2. Ooh, we've already got an x plus 2, so we don't need to repeat that. Okay, so this is going to be our common denominator. One of everything, no repeats. Okay, so now we need to go through and look at each of these and say, look, if this is what we want for our common denominator, what are we missing? So for example, this first fraction, 4 over x, right now the denominator is just x. We want x, x plus 2, x minus 2. So we need to multiply this denominator by this stuff, which means we'll also need to multiply the numerator by the stuff that it's missing. In our middle fraction, we have x plus 2, x minus 2. Remember, to get our common denominator that we're looking for, this one's missing an x. So that means we need to multiply top and bottom by x. And our last fraction, it has an x plus 2, so it is missing an x and an x minus 2. So we need to multiply top and bottom by x, x minus 2. Okay, now at this point you can kind of ignore all the denominators. We've already got our common denominator. It's the numerator that's a big mess for us. So let me write down what we have in our numerator. Okay, out here, this first fraction, we have 4 x plus 2, x minus 2, minus x, x plus 5, plus 4x, x minus 2. This all needs to be cleaned up and simplified. So here we go. I'm going to start by distributing here, and I'm going to FOIL this. I'll still have to distribute that 4, but I'll do that on the next step. Okay, so we have 4. When I FOIL that all out, I get x squared. I get minus 2x plus 2x. Those are going to cancel. So minus 4. I'm distributing the negative x, so negative x squared minus 5x. And I'm distributing the 4x, so 4x squared minus 8x. Denominator, still the same. Do not FOIL that out, okay? Just leave it, trust me. Okay, now I'm going to distribute this 4. So I get 4x squared minus 16 minus x squared minus 5x plus 4x squared minus 8x. Okay, seriously, there's like this huge truck outside the windows and it's 90 degrees in here, so I apologize if you can hear that noise. I'm glad if you can't. It's driving me crazy. Oh my goodness. Okay. Numerator, we just want to combine our like terms. 4x squared minus x squared plus 4x squared. We get 7x squared. Like terms, negative 13x, and then minus 16 over x, x plus 2, x minus 2. Again, you need to take a look at your numerator. If you can factor it further, you should. I will tell you that this doesn't factor any further. So this is your answer. You are done here.